video is about removing choice, okay? So if you want to accomplish something, if you've got a dream inside you, if you've got something burning inside you, that desire in your heart, this is about removing choice. Remove the idea of it's a maybe, or I'll think about it next year, or, well, if this happens, then I'll do that. Just look, seriously, you got to get this stuff hooked up with a greater sense of purpose. This is quite literally the sole reason for your existence, is to bring into consciousness more of the universal consciousness that is giving you life, that is in you. That's it. You're here to make manifest the glory of God, as Marianne Williamson writes in A Return to Love. That's how important you are. And guess what it is? It's desire. It's those heart's desires. That is actually the universe wanting to express through you, okay? It might sound a bit extreme to you, but I'm telling you, go and have a near-death experience and spend a week in a coma, and you'll find the exact same truth that I found. That's how important your dreams are. That's how important your desires are. And so it's really a case of getting it hooked up with a greater sense of responsibility and purpose, removing choice. It's not a maybe or, an if-when sort of thing. It's I must move forward. I must take this target. I must move into this friction. And what stops us is that little voice in our head. It's the terrorist. It's a mental terrorist, but it's not who you are. It's a little voice that sounds like you. That's the ego. And it'll just running commentary. It'll tell you how you're not good enough, and 99% of everyone fails within the first second that they take a breath, and all of this stuff. It's junk. You just understand that it's a saboteur in your head, and you send it on its way. You choose to not listen to it. And moving into friction, moving towards the things that frighten you, is where you grow as a human being. That's where you reach an enlightened point of consciousness, expanded awareness. It all happens outside of your comfort zone, because in your comfort zone is just about repetition. It's predictable. You can predict exactly how you're going to feel with that person in that setting, eating that food, wearing those clothes. This makes up your known, predictable life. Okay, so the more time you spend outside of that comfort zone, the more you're growing. And when you get this hooked up, as I said, with a greater sense of purpose, this isn't like we're playing for keeps here, guys. This is it. This is life. Every breath, the amount of time you've been on this earth is getting longer, and the amount of time you got left, it's getting shorter and shorter with every single breath you take. It's only fear and identification with that little voice in your head, with the ego, that stops us. What if you knew you were capable? Okay, what if what you were thinking was actually nothing? What if you went out there, you hit that target, and you realized, my God, my consciousness has expanded. I am capable of limitless potentials. Hence why my business, my company, I named it Limitless Initiatives. Because this is what I found out. I beat this, I beat that, I heal this, I heal myself from depression and drug abuse, worthlessness, critical brain hemorrhaging, have my face cut off, shattered my spine. I heal myself. I defy everyone. All the opinion givers, the doctors and friends and family telling me what I was capable of. And I kept finding a higher truth and a higher truth and a higher truth and a higher truth. And I realized, what is this infinite consciousness, this infinite energy that's inside us? It's the true self. It's who you really are beyond name and form. And you will experience this, most of us, not until the last breath. When death is approaching, you'll realize this when you pass. Okay, but other people who do the work, and other people through meditation and yoga and near-death experiences, etc., shadow work, start to access this. They pull themselves out of survival. And when you're not concerned with, immediate survival and consumption, you start to go, hang on, there is purpose to my existence. There's a higher truth here that we've forgotten. It's not taught in the schooling system, okay? And so we've forgotten our true place, our true nature. And it's from the fall of grace that happens when we come into physical form. As we fell from oneness or source or heaven, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it, and we were born into a vastly unenlightened world, an unconscious world. With all this reactivity around us, we learn to survive. And in the schooling system and the way it's structured, we identify constantly with the little me, the little voice in our head, the ego. Here's a little secret for you. Who and what you are, okay, the real you has almost nothing to do with this. Almost nothing at all. There's some truth for you, okay? So remove choice. Remove choice. How do you do that, Damien? Well, get it hooked up with a sense of responsibility that you've been given a gift. That you were given a gift of life. That those desires you have inside yourself, they're sacred, okay? The whole purpose of existence is for you to bring in those desires, those wants, those dreams that you've got inside yourself, to make them manifest in whatever way you can and bring in more of the universal consciousness. That is the purpose for your existence. You do it through responsibility. You do it through processing the pain, okay? The pain body. You've got to feel if you want to heal. You've got to go where you don't want to go and move that energy, move that emotion. And then the feeling creates the healing. And then the next roadblock is that fear, that flinch response. People flinch. What if? What if? Again, identified with the little voice saying, what if? And you've lost the present moment. Because this voice up here, it's always dealing with futures that haven't happened and getting anxious, and the past that's gone, man. You can't change it. Getting depressed and blaming people about the past. So when you disidentify with that little voice in your head, you become limitless and you're fully here. You're fully present in this moment. You move confidently in the direction of your dreams, and you understand that the friction is opportunity for expansion. That's what it is. There is no greater obstacle to God. There's no greater obstacle for you to reach enlightenment or, make it back to the kingdom of heaven or source consciousness. If you're on that journey, right, there's no greater obstacle than that little voice in your head. Because when I sat in meditation for hours, and maybe 4 hours, and I didn't allow that thought to exist, I went home and the Kundalini ripped through my body and I died, and then experienced oneness and was told that when we judge and blame others, we're judging and blaming ourselves. And when you give love to others, you are loving to yourself. And then it told me to open my eyes. Open your eyes. And this energy ripped through my body from the base of my spine like 240 volts of electricity. And you can't undo it. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't undo awakening. It can be a tricky process integrating back into this world, but I'm telling you, there's a higher truth out there, okay? So today's video, remember, you're worthy, you're good enough. Remember, the hero is labeled a hero after the event, not before the event, okay? I want you to approach these desires like they're sacred, because they are, okay? Don't go running to get validation from other people or put something on social media and ask your friends what they think. They're coming from their point of consciousness. Jesus said, when you pray, you go in secret and you close the door behind you, right? So that means you just, at the start of the endeavor, you just go within, back yourself, remove choice from the equation. It's not a maybe. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to learn something, and then understand that fear response is a conditioned pattern of behavior, predictable conditioned patterns of behavior that have been set up. But you can choose to listen to that voice of fear or to act anyway. You can stand up right now, walk across the street and go and say hello to a stranger. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it right now. There's someone over there. I'm just going to go up and say, hey, how are you? My name's Damien. Okay, so that's today's video. Any more information, or if you want to get me for a speaking gig, podcast, interview, anything, you're interested in the coaching I do, or my books or music, damienhorton.com. And as always, from my heart to yours, sending you guys light and sending you love. Peace.